Dear 10th standard students, now we have to learn biology. This is your biology textbook. Then, in the first chapter, we have to learn about the cell. You learn about the cell in detail in the 9th standard. But in the 10th standard also it is included for the revision, because the coming chapter, the next chapter, the second chapter, it tells in detail about the structure of chromosome, cell cycle and cell division. For learning this, you must be thorough with the cell structure and its functional unit. You must be thorough with this cell structure. So it is included in the 10th standard for your revision. It is given as the first chapter. Even though we learned about the cell, we must learn thoroughly all its part and its functions of each part. You must be thorough with it. So let us start about learning about the cell. Once again we are taking a revision. We know that all living beings, its body is made up of cell, and cell is the structural and functional unit of the body. Then the plant cell and animal cell, they have the same chemical composition, and in metabolic activities also they resemble. Then again, all cells in living beings, all the cell can arise from a pre-existing cell. Then cell number. The point you can see that the larger an organism, the greater the number of cells in its body. If larger the organism, greater the number of cells in the body. That is, if in unicellular animals, the number of cell will be only one. They have only one cell or single cell. With that single cell, they are performing all the functions of their body. But in multicellular organism like the elephant or the blue whale, their number of cells are larger. They are made up of millions of cells are there in their body. Larger the organism, the size of the cell will not be larger according to the size of the organism. Only the number of cells will be more in larger organism. In smaller organism, when organism is smaller, number of cells will be less. Then larger the organism, number of cells will increase according to the size of the body. That is how the cells are present in body of organisms. Then cells, how small? We can see, we must know which are the smallest cell and which are the longest cell and which are the largest cells. We must know. Some questions will be there for you. Which is the smallest cell? Certain bacteria. Bacterial cells are smallest cells. Then in human body, red blood cells are the smallest cell. Then longest cell, they are the nerve cell. Nerve cell, more than 1 meter length may be there for the longest cell. They are the nerve cell. Then largest cells are birds' eggs are the largest cells. Especially you know that the largest eggs are ostrich egg. So they are the largest cells in this earth. Ostrich egg is the largest cell. Then another point, eggs. In egg, the white of the egg and the eggshell are extra parts added to the actual egg. Actual egg, only the yellow part include the actual egg part. The white albumin and the eggshell are the additional substance in bird's egg. Then for your information, certain things are there given in this blue box, but it is not that will not be asked for your exam. There are 200 different types of cells in human body. Then 37 to 2 trillion cells in whole body. Then 100 billion nerve cells in brain cortex. 25 trillion red blood cells are there. That is only given for your information only. That will not be asked for the examination, but this point you can expect for the examination. Smallest cell bacteria, longest cell nerve cell. Such questions will be asked for the examination. Then cell shapes. Different shapes we can see in cells. Even though its internal structure is same, the cell shape may different. As an example, circular biconcave shape in human red blood cell. It show circular and biconcave shape. In the coming chapter, when we learn about the circulation, we are again seeing its detailed structure of RBC. Then amoeboid cell, white blood cell has amoeboid shape. You know the shape of the amoeba. It can change its shape and it can squeeze through small pores, small area. It can extending its pseudopodia. It can move from place to place. That is the shape of the white blood cell. Then nerve cell, you know the shape of the nerve cell. It has a cell body and long axons it has, and its cytoplasmic extensions are there from its cell body. Such a shape the nerve cell has. Then the guard cell of stomata, it has bean shape. Several different cells, according to what they do, they have different shapes. Different cells have different shape. Then the most or 3 essential part of a cell we have to learn. The first part is the cell membrane or plasma membrane. In the cell, in this cell, you can see the outermost boundary. It is known as the plasma membrane. Certain special characteristic it has. The plasma membrane has cell membrane. It is marked here, cell membrane. It has special particular functions they are done, and they have certain characteristics. Then the first and foremost characteristic, it is semi-permeable. That can allow, it has pores on its membrane, and it is semi-permeable or selectively permeable. It can allow certain substances into the cell, and it allow only certain substance to pass out of the cell. It is semi-permeable, that is partially permeable, we can say about the cell membrane. And it is made up of lipoprotein. That I drew in the side part. I explained it with a diagram. Lipoprotein. It is made up of lipids and protein. Lipid I marked here. Lipid meaning കൊഴുപ്പെന്ന് നമുക്ക് പറയാവുന്ന fatty substance, that is lipid. Lipids are arranged in 2 layers, and in between you can see certain protein part, and the outer these 2 structures on coming as its border, it is also protein. It is made up of lipids and protein. These protein allow the substances that sense the substances that coming to the membrane and sense it, then only it allow the substances into the cell. So we can see that the cell membrane, its internal structure I showed it with a diagram. Lipids and protein. It is made up of lipids and protein, so it is known as made up of lipoprotein, we can say. Then because of the lipids, and protein present it provide a flexibility to the cell. Then again, there is a difference in plant cell. There is an additional membrane known as cell wall around it. Here it is shown, it is a plant cell, and the outermost membrane, that is here marked it here as cell wall. It gives rigidity to the, it is made up of cellulose. This cell wall is made up of cellulose. That may be the question. The plasma membrane, semi-permeable, then it is, but in cell wall it is freely permeable and it is made up of cellulose. The difference, if you are asked to write the difference between a plant cell and animal cell or its outer boundary, we can say that in plant cell membrane and cell wall differentiate it. Cell membrane, it is made up of lipoprotein, but cell wall, it is made up of cellulose. Then it is freely permeable, but here the cell membrane, it is semi-permeable. That are the difference between cell wall and cell membrane. Freely permeable meaning allow every substances to enter into the, any substance can enter into the cell in a solution. It allow every substances freely permeable into the cell. Then another, the most important structure in the cell is cytoplasm. That is the all content inside the cell membrane excluding the nucleus. Except the nucleus, the other part of the cell, it is known as the cytoplasm. Many of the chemical reactions taking place inside the cytoplasm. Inside the cytoplasm, the chemical reactions, that is, or biochemical reactions are taking place inside the cytoplasm. It contains many organelles. You can see the mitochondria or endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi body, lysosomes, everything, many organelles. Organelles meaning small parts of the cell that do particular function are found in the cytoplasm. Then another point you have to notice is that cytosol, that is the part of the cytoplasm other than the organelles. Without organelles, the part of the cytoplasm is known as cytosol. Then again, the most important organ and the largest organelle is the nucleus. You can see the mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, many organelles are there, and the largest organelle is the nucleus, and it is the most important part of the cell, and it is the carrier of heredity inside it. Inside it, it is carrying the heredity of the cell, because it contains the you heard about the term chromosome. It contains the chromatin fiber. When it condenses or becomes short at the time of cell division, then they are known as the chromosome. The nucleus containing nucleoplasm, that is the semi-solid substance inside the nucleus. Here the picture of the nucleus is given. In the nucleus, there is a semi-solid substance inside it, that is the nucleoplasm. Nucleoplasm containing fine thread-like structure inside the nucleus, that is known as chromatin fiber. Here marked the chromatin network or chromatin fiber is there. At the time of cell division, this chromatin fiber become thick and condensed. Then it is known as chromosomes. Then finer structure of the cell organelles. The largest organelle is the nucleus. Several other organelles are also there in the nucleus. Organelles. What is the definition of organelles? Organelles are the specialized and membrane-bound living structure in a cell concerned with definite function. That are tiny part inside the cell that are doing specific or definite function is known as the organelles of the cell. Name an organelle. Organelle is the singular form organelle. Is several organelles are there inside the cell. Largest organelle, nucleus, and we can see the mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi body, etc. inside the cell. Here in this another term you have to learn is the protoplasm. Protoplasm, the term protoplasm is used. It consists of cytoplasm and nucleus. That cytoplasm and nucleus inside the cell membrane is known as the nucleoplasm or protoplasm. Protoplasm. Protoplasm is the except the cell membrane. Except the cell membrane and cell wall, the whole content inside the cell, including the cytoplasm and nucleus, is known as protoplasm. That is the living substance inside the cell. That is known as protoplasm. Then again, there we can divide the content of the cell into living bodies and non-living part. Cell containing the living parts and non-living parts. Living bodies include, living part of the cell include the nucleus, nucleolus. Nucleolus is the small body present inside the nucleus. That is the nucleolus. Nucleus, nucleolus, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, Golgi bodies, lysosomes, cell membrane. These are the living part of the cell. Then non-living part of the cell include the vacuoles and granules are called cell inclusions. Non-living part is also known as cell inclusion. You have the question, write 2 cell inclusions. If you are asked so, you have to write the vacuoles and granules are 2 cell inclusions. Because the vacuoles, you can see the larger vacuole in plant cell only, the vacuole. It is present in the plant cell only. It is used to store substances or store extra water. Vacuoles are used. So it is a non-living part. The granules mean the food or fat grains. That means the granule. There is a difference between, you have the to differentiate between organ and organelle. But we know that organs are the parts of particular part inside the body that do particular function. Organelle are the specific part of specific tiny part inside the cell that do particular function. So there is you have to write that you have to differentiate between organ and organelle. Then again here a very big table is given in your textbook that describing each plant part of the cell and its main characteristic, its chief functions, etc. given in a very big table is given in your textbook. In the textbook, you have to learn the bold red colored the words that are marked in red color, that are the most important part inside the you will be asked, that are the points, important points you have to notice, that is given in red in color. Each part, a very big table in the other page also, the table is continuing. You have to learn, you must be thorough with this important points that is given in red color. In the textbook you have to learn it thoroughly. The cell membrane, its main characteristic, it is living membrane, fine pores, semi-permeable. You have to learn this point. It regulates the entry of certain substances and ions, its main function. You can read all these, but you must be thorough with these red colored points. That are the most important point. Cell wall, it is non-living, it is freely permeable, and it is made up of cellulose. That are the important point. When you learn, you must notice that important points in the table. I will before in the 9th standard you learned all this thoroughly, so again you must go through it and get thorough with this point, that points, its cell organelles and its main points you must be thorough with. Then here again the difference between plant cell and animal cell, that also the point you have to, in the table it is given. You must be thorough with these points. That is needed. You will be asked to write all these points that I am telling. So you must read, you can understand it easily because you learned it in the 9th standard. Then here the microscopic examination of onion peel. You have the practicals of this work to do. Onion to observation of plant cell, we are taking onion. Then its steps are given here. Cut the onion bulb into 4 pieces. Now, cut it into 4 pieces and take a small layer like a thin plastic sheet. You can pull a small layer from its concave side. We can shed one of the leaf from it and you can pull one small onion thin layer from its concave side. It is a transparent plastic sheet, like small piece is there. You can add color iodine solution to it to identify. Iodine or eosin dye is used to stain the material, so the nucleus and cell wall can absorb the color. Then so it is visible clearly. Then if we look, wash away the extra color and you can observe it through the microscope. You can see the cells are arranged like this, like the bricks. You can observe like this the onion peel, the cells are arranged. So it is a practical work you have to do. Then again another experiment. This experiment you need not to do, just for your understanding it is given. One amoeba is taken, single organism, and it divide into 2 and again it will divide into another 4 individuals. Its multiplication is given. Then again you can take one nucleus from one amoeba. If one nucleus removed from amoeba, it dies, we can observe. Then if we take nucleus from amoeba and you can donate this nucleus from one donor amoeba to and transplant it to the nucleus into enucleated cell, then that can again grow and can divide into 2 organisms. It is an experiment on amoeba to show the nucleus is essential for normal life. These are the points you have to learn in the first chapter. There are certain exercise for you to study. I am taking the photograph of this review questions. You can write it on a notebook and you try to, only this much of question answers are there in the in this chapter, first chapter. You can try to answer these questions. Thank you.